Welcome to the presentation, Learning Management Systems, produced by Tess Taylor of Course Inc. In this session, I will be discussing learning management systems and comparing three well-known LMS platforms. You will learn how to select the right LMS for your needs, discovery tool to speed up the process, and be ready to evaluate any LMS based on 5 critical factors. First, let's define what a learning management system or LMS actually is. Learning management systems, or LMSs, are software applications frequently used as course shells for e-learning, blended learning, flipped classrooms, or training. LMSs provide a number of tools, among others communication tools such as video conferencing, forums or email, evaluation tools such as questionnaires and assessments, and grading tools. It's very important to take the selection of an LMS seriously so that it can be a useful and sustainable part of your organization. There are many reasons to utilize a learning management system, particularly for corporate learning or higher education. But one must also be aware that there are potential advantages and disadvantages to consider. For example, instead of having all your e-learning content spread out over different hard drives and devices, you can store all of your e-learning materials in one location. This reduces the risk of losing important data and makes it easier to create your e-learning course. In addition, the learning management system makes it more accessible from any device. It's also possible to track learner progress and ensure that learners are completing vital coursework. And most LMSs have ways of sharing content and interacting with other students via social media. The possible disadvantages to think about include the costs associated with using the software, which may be a monthly fee, a license fee, or a fee per user. There will also be a need to have a dedicated person who can administer the LMS and report on its use. This administrator will also need to understand what types of files, applications, and documents can be uploaded or integrated with the LMS. Additionally, it will be necessary to have someone assigned to update courses on a regular basis, especially as new tech features arrive. In today's world, be careful to choose an LMS that includes two-step authentication to keep your data safe. In order to choose the right LMS for the job, Dr. Jennifer Cahill, an expert in learning environments, shared this checklist for evaluating an LMS for use. It's important to clarify that what you hope to gain from the LMS in advance, because this can be a costly and time-consuming effort that impacts the organization for many years to come. Let's briefly go over these questions you could ask yourself. First of all, you need to understand what your audience needs from the system. And how can the LMS handle the learning content? What are the costs of using the LMS versus your learning budget? And is free something that you should consider? And lastly, what can integrate with the LMS? When deciding about the use of an LMS, an important point is the decision of which LMS should be used for each specific case. This decision must be made taking into account objective data such as the levels of use of the hardware on which the LMS will be hosted, and subjective information such as the experience and opinion of users of the system. You'll want to first consider who your learners will be. What is their technical level? How do they prefer to learn? And what motivates them? In a traditional classroom, instructors can measure learner engagement by noting facial and body language. In e-learning, this is not possible. Therefore, the LMS must provide ways to motivate and measure learner behavior. An evaluation of learning behavior and motivation may derive from the students doing exercises, submitting assignments, and posting messages to the LMS. And finally, you'll need to understand how your learners will access the learning. Secondly, you want to understand how does the LMS handle learning content. How is the content laid out and delivered to your student learners? Is the lesson structure easy to navigate? In terms of measuring learner success, how does the LMS manage assessments, and what are the various formats available to you? And lastly, what are the file types that the LMS supports? These are all questions that you need to answer. What are the costs of using the LMS versus your learning budget? You'll want to be able to justify the cost of the LMS, whether direct or indirect. Establish what your core learning budget will be per person. In the workforce, this is generally around $1,200 per employee. Then there's the cost to develop the courses themselves. Most recent figures put this at about 40 hours of development for every hour of instruction. Therefore, the cost can be quite high for a brand new course to be created, administered, and maintained. Factor in the cost of the LMS too, as it can be a cost per user model, a subscription, or require the purchase of a license to use it. In some cases, it is possible to go with a free or freemium learning management system that gives you time to evaluate it and use it. But keep in mind that the free period may be a very brief trial, usually around 30 days, and afterwards you will begin being billed for it. So you'll need to understand what are the features that you will need, and will a free LMS cut it? Consider these features, what the usage limits are, and if you can brand the courses on your own, or if you can share them. As with any software decision, compatibility with existing systems must be determined when choosing an LMS. Determine what types of files and formats can be handled by the LMS. Some products only accept text and video formats, while others allow for any size and type of file. You will want to determine if the product integrates with other software and products that you currently use, such as Zoom virtual meetings, for example. How secure is your course and student data once it is uploaded to the LMS, and how does it handle encryption? Make sure you answer these questions when you are considering the use of an LMS. Now that you have a better idea of your goals and needs for the learning management system, it's time to start shopping around for the LMS that meets your requirements. For the purposes of this presentation, imagine that I am a human resource manager conducting a comparison of 3 popular learning management systems that are free to use. And that includes Moodle, Thinkific, and TaylorLMS. The purposes of launching e-learning to my organization's growing remote workforce is to keep it cheap, easy, and compatible with what we have currently. It also must meet certain criteria in order to fit. It needs to be free to get started, a mobile-friendly platform, have the ability to track employee progress, and some games and badges to keep the employees motivated. The first LMS in this comparison is Moodle, which is an open source platform and claims to be the most widely used LMS in the world. It has a great community and is constantly improving, and creating courses is really easy using their built-in authoring and course creation tools. It's a favorite of schools and organizations looking for a free solution. Next, we have Thinkific, a popular LMS that many small businesses turn to for building e-learning. I personally like that it has a free trial and scalable fees. I like that training is offered to users, and it seems to work very well on any device. I think I'll check it out. TaylorLMS is the final LMS under consideration on my list for a number of reasons. It is known in my industry as being a great way to roll out custom employee training, but also they offer built-in courses that can be used by any company. It's free to get started, and the monthly subscription looks like a good way to control costs, but I'll need to explore this and learn a little bit more. An easy way to compare learning management systems to select the right one is to go to elearningindustry.com, where they have a directory of all the different learning management systems available today. Choose from the drop-down, and it will take you to the directory. Normally what I do is look at the result sorting area. You can sort by different categories. You can see that there's top value for money, best customer experience, best user experience. But for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to just be searching by specific filters. In this case, I want to look for all the free or freemium learning management systems that are available. So as you can see, there's free, open source, or paid licenses. There's also free trials, and freemiums. So I'm just going to type in, punch in free, let it do its thing. And as you can see, I've got Thinkific, Moodle, Camilo, Inform, Zoomloon. And these are all learning management systems that you can use for free. Some of them have limited free trials. Some of them are free until you start adding users or courses to them. So please read the fine print before you select one. But this is just a good way to compare what you may be looking for between several different learning management systems. So I found one of my systems here, actually two of them. So I'm going to click compare and compare. And I still need to find ThinkLMS. So I am going to look through here to see if I can find the one that I'm looking for. I'm sorry, TaylorLMS. So one way you can do it is just go to Thinkific or one of the sites that you've already clicked on to compare, and you can review it here to learn a little bit more about it. Or you can keep searching until you find the right source. I'm going to go ahead and click Freemium because I believe that TaylorLMS is a freemium product. And I'm going to see if it's in the listing here. It should be. You can also deselect categories. I know that TaylorLMS is a learning management system that's used a lot for employee training. Here it is. So I can go here and also compare it and take a look at it, just from a high level. Make sure that I have the right site. I can read more, which is within the directory. And I can also set it up to compare. Let's see, here's Thinkific. And as you can see, I've got TaylorLMS, I've got Thinkific. I can add Moodle here. Just got to find it in the listing. I know it's open source. There it is. And you can see at the bottom here it says TaylorLMS, Thinkific, and Moodle, and I can just click on Compare Now. I believe you can search up to 5 learning management systems before it gets a little too crowded on the screen. So here's my comparison list. As you can see, it's very detailed. There's several categories you can look at. One of them, obviously, the rating system is within e-learning industry, so you have access to user ratings. These are very highly rated systems. Moodle is also, but maybe not so much as TaylorLMS and Thinkific. There's a star rating system as well too for quick visual. You can see the usability, customer experience, and the likelihood that they would recommend the product to others. You can also see the pricing models. Moodle is free, always free. It's open source. TaylorLMS has a free trial. They also have a freemium, which means it's free for a while. And then once you start adding users, then you do have to pay a small fee per month for your size organization, and it just goes up accordingly. It's a monthly subscription. And then there's also Thinkific, which has a free trial. It's free to use, freemium, and there's a subscription once you start adding users to it, paid users. So you have free. So this is great. And of course, it does give you some information here about what the plan prices are and how you can upgrade and downgrade. Overview just kind of gives you some ideas of what the best uses are of the software, who's the best type of user or who is the most appropriate user. For my organization, I'm considering that it's going to be a small business, could be a growing business that I'm working with. So I'm probably going to choose something like TaylorLMS because it looks like it's expandable. Thinkific is probably more for a smaller business or a small university. And of course, Moodle is used by everyone from, teachers to large companies. So it's very user-friendly. You can see that they have a mobile application. Thinkific does not have a mobile application, so if you're going to be delivering learning content via mobile devices, it's something to consider. And also the platforms that you're using, if you're Mac, Windows, Linux users. The same thing with browsers. You want to make sure they work on all the different browsers. The great thing about some of these is that they offer online tutorials and help documentation. So that if you need some support or you're not sure how to use the system, you can get training there. Thinkific has very active training, and so does TaylorLMS. And Moodle just has basic online tutorials, but there are other people that do teach Moodle courses. They have, various levels of support. The supported file types, SCORM obviously is very important. And of course, 508 compliance is very important if you're delivering corporate compliance courses. And these are some of the features that you can get, with each of these products. This one's very robust. TaylorLMS has a lot of bells and whistles and integrations that you want to look at. So does Thinkific. Moodle has more limits because it's a free product, but it is enough to get by on if you're just starting out or for small groups. So this is a great place to go to compare the different types of learning management systems in a pinch, rather than spending hours and hours searching through them. Remember to evaluate them against those categories and make sure that you are meeting your needs before you pick anything. Now that I've run my comparison on the Elearning Industry website, I can see more clearly how each of these LMSs may fit my needs. Here's a general side-by-side comparison of my findings regarding Moodle, Thinkific, and TaylorLMS. All three of the systems do offer some type of free, open source, or freemium model, so it won't cost me anything to get started. They're all easy to navigate through the learning material, and they all do have some mobile capability, although Moodle and TaylorLMS have a dedicated mobile app, and Thinkific does say that it is responsive to different devices. Now, one thing that is important to me as a human resource person is being able to track the attendance of the employees who are taking the training. And Moodle and TaylorLMS do fit the bill, where Thinkific does not offer attendance tracking. All three systems are SCORM compliant, but TaylorLMS has the added benefit of being 508 compliant, which is important in terms of offering training to those who may have special needs or disabilities and need accommodation. Moodle, Thinkific, and Talent all offer online course delivery, but Moodle is limited to online internet course delivery versus Thinkific and TaylorLMS, which also offer the option to do live training and workshops. And one of the other features that I mentioned earlier that was important is being able to motivate my learners with interactive games and badges. And it looks like Moodle only does not offer these features. Thinkific just has badges for various accomplishments. And Talent has a full range of gamification and badges. Ultimately, the winner of this comparison was TaylorLMS because it checked off most of the boxes of my 5-point checklist. The next step is to contact the vendor and find out more, set up a demo or a free account, and learn how to use it. So thank you for watching my presentation, and if you wish to learn more about any of these tools or products, please feel free to check out the references here, and there's also some great reading available.